Hi traders, and welcome to the Friday Market Watch on the 15th of August. So I've seen another big week of action with new all-time highs being hit in the US and earnings season coming to a close. So we'll jump straight into the charts and see if we can find any trades for today or early into next week. All right, so we'll start out here with the US dollar CAD, and we can see here that we're starting to get a little bit of momentum kicking off these two moving averages, the 20 and the 50 moving average, which are effectively just going horizontal at the moment, but they are providing a good level of support at an area where we know there is actual residual role reversal. So what we're looking for here now is a breakthrough past, of course, that 138.50 area. We're already starting to see that mini lightning bolt just kick in. It's been a quiet week, but this last session, you can see here, we've pushed past a really important level. Now, yes, there is resistance right in front of us at 138.60, and I wouldn't be trading before that resistance is broken. But once that does get through, if we can get trading above this level, we're a really good opportunity to get back up to around that 140-ish area as the first target. And we are starting to pick up momentum on the CAD. There's no question about that. We can see that we've already seen a really big burst from that 135.50 all the way up to this high that we're trying to break. So there is already form there very recently, and we are getting a good, I really like to see these patterns form just below the top resistance. So we'll keep an eye on this. A very important break at 138.50 if that happens, and that's what we're really looking for. If we can get past that level, we'll be looking for a move up to around that sort of 140-ish area in the first instance. That would be our next testing point. I wouldn't really be looking for the shorts. I think there's enough momentum on the move up. If it does short, I think I just wait and see where it lands, and then we look for opportunities after we find the base. All right, we'll go over to the dollar index now. Obviously, a very important week for it as well, with all of the news coming out and earnings obviously very coming to a close. Now we're starting to see that. We'll look at the index a little bit later, but we can see here that we've been effectively lower high, lower low sequencing all the way down. We hit the all important 79.50-ish area, just above the 50-ish area here. You can see that we've got support at a crucial point. It did bounce off this level here. What it does find itself, though, is at the 20 moving average underneath it, which is obviously a very important position for it, being a very heavy resistance. It's been resistance all the way through. You can see that. What we need to do is actually see it tracking above both the 20 and the 50. We need it above the 98.60 area. If we can get enough momentum to make that kick in, then we're looking at really good potential to actually get back up to that 99.50 zone and basically up to these previous highs where it has already reached. Once it does that, I think we could be off and running on the dollar, but it's a very important zone, because if it doesn't actually break through the 20 and the 50 moving average, what could definitely happen here is it could reverse. And if we see another low below the 97.70, a pretty strong possibility that we'll be looking at the 96.50 as the next target. So a very important zone. Will it break the lower high, lower low sequence? Only time's going to tell, but we wouldn't trade it until it does. But if it does roll over here, and we see a trade underneath the 97.70, then we'd be looking at going short. And of course, that means along on the euro, we are looking at the opposite here. So we can see we've got the higher low sequence, direct opposite, and it's resting on the 20 moving average as well. So really, if we see any kickoff whatsoever, even on the smaller time frames around the 15-minute chart or anything like that, if we see momentum building, we know we've got resistance at 117, so there's no drama about that. We would let that break first, and then once we're through that barrier, then we're looking at these highs here at around that 117.80 and effectively 118.20. Okay, they're the two highs that we'd be aiming for. But I get the feeling that if we do get past these this level here, these two highs are probably in danger, because I think we would probably see a low on the dollar index that's going to exceed the momentum, and it's not going to stop it. I think we can probably look for a 119 after that level. But first things first, we have to get past that 117.70, and if we do that, we'll be looking at these as the first target, and then a potential break up to 119. So pretty good trading on the euro potentially coming up. All right, we'll have a quick look at the S&P 500 now. Look, it's been a very quiet session in terms of, we are obviously anticipating news and the last little bits of earnings kicking through. So we've got some very important data coming out, but we'll wait for that to happen. I think next week is probably where the trades are going to be on the S&P, but we are obviously at all-time highs. It all but touched it again today. It's been a little bit quiet, but we've hit it a couple of times this week, and now we've just had a very, very quiet session. Really, what we're basically looking for here is a break up higher if we're going to trade it long, but we wouldn't trade it that in the first instance. What we wanted to see is a break up and then come back down and test this level here, this sort of the 64 sort of 30-ish area from above and find support underneath it. That's what we're really looking for there. We wouldn't want to be jumping in too early on the upside, because I think there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation that we might actually see a bit of a drop from this zone. So realistically, we want to see either a break up higher and then a retest from the top, or it starts to roll over. But I wouldn't look at shorting this until it actually gets below the 20 moving average, because really at this stage the 20 moving average has held it up pretty strong, and we would expect that it would be a real level of support if it does come down. So ideally, let it break the 20 moving average first on the way down. There's plenty of room to move on the way down if it does start picking up momentum. You're not going to miss out on a trade. So really what we want to look for is the evidence that it's actually done it, because right now it's still going a little bit sideways, and I think it'll be quite difficult to trade. All right, we'll move over to oil, and you can see we've had a little bit of a bounce up from what has been a really, really ordinary period. It's obviously been selling off quite significantly. It did hit a zone that has had resistance and support in the past. You can see here that 62.30 area. There's a lot of price action here that you can see, resistance and support all colliding. You can see here for effectively about 3 or 4 weeks, we've had effectively this level touched at one point or another throughout the day. So it's obviously an important zone for it, and it did basically doji candle as it touched it around that sort of 62.40-ish area. It's had a reasonable bounce up, but it's by no means a good thing just to go long. I think that this could be just a little bit of a reaction on the way down. I'm looking for either a move back up to around that 65.70 or the 20 moving average, whichever one comes first, and then a potential reversal from there. And the first instance would be trading down to the 62.40, because that's the easier trade, because it's already predetermined. But if we see a break of that, I think 60 is on the agenda, and we'd be starting to target our shorts for that zone. If, however, it breaks through this level, then we're going to look at it from a different lens. But I wouldn't be looking at that in the first instance. I'd be looking at, if you want to trade it, I'd be looking at just small scalping opportunities up to around that 65.80 or the 20 moving average in the next little period, this part here, and then see what it does at that 65.80, because I think that it could provide a resistance level that you might not be comfortable with if you want to go past that on the long. So just be mindful of that. All right, we'll go over to gold, and look, it's been a very flat-ish sort of session. The last 3 sessions have actually been very, very flat. But of course, this is just waiting and in anticipation of what we're expecting news-wise and the last little bits of earnings. I think gold is about to do something. You can see we've been going sideways for a long time. We've got a lot of consolidation here. The congestion points are getting tighter, and we are, most definitely coiling. So realistically, last 3 days have done nothing, but the minute we start to see movement on the bigger markets, I think we're going to see a pop on gold. It's either going to go to the all-time highs and then potentially beyond, or we're going to see a sell-off. My feeling is it's probably stronger than it is weaker, but it is starting to levitate to a level now where it's either way, there's a solid trade there. So really, it's about waiting for the break. Whichever way it breaks, we'll be looking at, we're happy to jump on, but interesting on gold. Just look out for those 2 breaks at the high here at 34.40 or the low here at 32.50. A break of either side of that, and then we could see a significant move to either of the boundaries. And we'll have a quick look at Bitcoin. Look, a big sell-off in the last candle. You can see that it hit an all-time high throughout the session at 124,560, but a big sell-off, a very, very sharp candle down. It's landed right at the support zone. You can see we've got a lot of support here in this level, a lot of build-up of price, and a 20 moving average at 17,200. So Nothing to do here unless it starts to pick up. If we see a sequence of higher highs and higher lows from this level, we look at trading it back up to those previous highs. But if it breaks out 20, I think the next target is around that 112. So if it does break that 20 moving average and it keeps cycling down, I'd be looking at targets around the 112. But if it reverses from here, the previous high would be the aim on that one. So I hope everyone's had a great week's trading. We've seen some, really, really good moves, and we're seeing some very good setups on a lot of the key instruments that we look at each week. So hopefully you're able to take advantage of some of those. I think next week we're going to start to see some pretty good movement. So have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.